Here we go. Mike O'Neill, I have made you co-host. Before we get into slicing and dicing, can you give us a quick teaser on
Sure.
why on why this is really good to know?
Okay. So every box in Sales Navigator has the ability to be included in the search. Many of the boxes have the ability to exclude stuff from the search.
Yeah.
Some have include and exclude, some have only include. The order that things go in to a Sales Navigator search seems to matter. I'm pushing the Boolean limits to the limit in the past, and I had a client who got in trouble for everything crashed when I just was doing little changes to it. And LinkedIn called back and said, limit your Booleans to 10 operands, and we had that conversation previously. In the course of doing that, I started documenting a lot of things, and I went, I've seen this before. I've done this before, and it was 3 years ago. I documented pretty much all of the options on Sales Navigator, what the codes were for everything. I went through manually. I must have been a boring week or something. I don't remember what it was, but I went through and I documented all the codes. And I found that I can create searches just from putting them together like in a word processor and go and run the darn things. And it's particularly useful if you're going to do like include a lot of industries. If you're going to include A through L industries on LinkedIn, that's a lot of pushing a button and refreshing and pushing a button and refreshing, and somewhere along the way something can go wrong when you go to do 75 industries, which you've seen me do. But this order that the components appear in the searches seems to be the best order to work. While you've got to take these Boolean phrases in 10 at a time, once they're in there, in the URL, they're all grouped together. So it's just a matter of the LinkedIn code in terms of copying that Boolean stuff into the search deal that can make it blow up. It's not that in it that they only have a limited amount of space for or stuff. Okay.
You're saying, Mike, that you can add the operands in the URL and overcome the limitation when you're adding it manually through the user interface in the browser.
That's true.
Holy smokes.
That's
Do you
true.
know, I don't want to steal your thunder. Have you tried doing that on normal LinkedIn where they limit you to 5?
No,
Okay, just curious.
I've not tried that.
Okay, keep going. Keep going. Sorry.
So all but one of the parameters I'm going to show you are parameters that we use in our searches when I build searches for clients. Okay, much of the stuff I learned here and refined here. Okay, so I'm bringing back what I've learned in a way that, well, let me just share. Okay, that's the prologue there. So this is how it was back in May of 18, where I was doing this when they were doing things called facets back then. I don't know if anyone was programming anything there, but you had facets and things like that. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the new stuff. So I've got an opening page here where I talk about the new targeting strategies where LinkedIn recommends that your Boolean strings are 10 or less. That's exact wording right from that message back from LinkedIn. I've had that with other clients happen too.
Can I ask you a question on that, Mike?
Yeah.
When they're saying that once you go more than 10, that they kind of they guess it for you instead of you dictating exactly what you want. Do you
I don't
know
think that's it. I don't think that's it. I think that was bullshit BS language. I think that was BS language in there. Once you see the URL at the end, you see there's nothing different back here. There's no special anything that happens in the URL that you end up with.
So you think that the 10, what's the 10 limit then?
That's what LinkedIn said. My clients,
Okay.
my client's Boolean was crashing, and they said, "Well,
Okay.
we're redoing the operating of this and that and stuff." There's
Gotcha.
something in how they take something and put it together in on the back end that didn't work right when you had big stuff. Maybe you could
Gotcha.
do one big fat one, but you couldn't do two big fat ones of Boolean,
Gotcha.
perhaps.
Gotcha.
But they all look the same on the back end. So that's why if you just program it, you got the back end covered here. You
Sure.
don't have to go through the process of Control C, Control V, flip it red, flip it red, flip it red, flip it red, which is what we do, right, Isaac? Circle slash. So here's what the relationships look like. And this is the proper order, by the way, for the most part. There's a little bit of ordering here that I'm still redoing on the document, okay? But it starts out best with relationships and then keywords. And you can include or exclude keywords. You know, I mean, you got the nots or the both, right? You can do that. I'm showing in blue here where the includes are, and I've got it color coded to red where they're excluded.
Mike, when I'm looking at the keywords and it's got the percentage 20, is that a space in the
That's
URL?
a space or a comma. I can't remember where the percent 20 is a comma. Yeah, that's a comma. Percent 20 is a comma. It's a space. I'm sorry, that's a space. Percent 22, I think, is a comma.
Okay.
We'll see that in the deals here. We'll have some more. So here's how head count works and what the codes are like. Probably commas there. Percent 2.
Oh, really? Huh. I remember seeing the C. I remember seeing that, and I never realized that's what it was. That's really interesting.
Yeah, so that's pretty programmable there. If we talk, we're implementing company names that we exclude in all cases now. This is just an example here of excluding here. The excludes that we use in our cases are right here. We exclude these. Chapter, association, bank, credit union, college, school, fraternity. If the company name has any of those words in it, my clients don't want them. And here's what it looks like in one statement.
And then I think where it's company excluded, it's case sensitive, right? So you'd have to make sure that the
that's
E
not a capital
is
C. That's a lowercase c.
Yeah.
Everything is exactly case sensitive. Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
At the end of any of these things that are included or excluded for companies, you have to add this statement here. Unless you want to have past, you can make it past and only look at past companies. Okay. So there's a couple times where you've got to add on one of these currency things as a current, past, or whatever. The LinkedIn industries, included and excluded. I've taken all 149 now. There's 2 new industries and put them into here. E, F, G, H.
What are the new industries, Mike?
I've not put them in here. I'm sorry. Horticulture and mobile games. And they crash when you use them.
Cool.
Literally, they crash. So I don't put them in here right now because they crash.
You know what I've noticed? You know what I've noticed, Mike? I wonder if this is why it's crashed. Like when we create an account list in SalesNav, and there's nothing saved to the account, when we do like exclude or include and it's empty, it bugs out.
Yes, I've noticed that as well. I try to just do a search on excluding an industry, not including anything, just excluding an industry with nothing else, and it wouldn't take.
I wonder if there's like hardly anything in there, or maybe nothing in there. Maybe that's why.
I think they want one more parameter in the search than just one include or exclude, perhaps. So here they are. I have this on a site where you can download the spreadsheet of this. I have this in a spreadsheet where you can download. I have another version of the spreadsheet here I'll show you in a moment that's even more useful. So titles, when you're doing a title, you got that same current scope sort of thing you've got to include when you do anything with titles, okay? And titles go like this, and they're banks of 9. And there's generic titles, you know, like we might have across industry. And then sometimes you got industry specific titles if you're going for marketing people and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and that's with, all right. So then we get down, and so this is what I use here for my excludeds. I've got groups of them that are similar that I can just grab. And generally I'll grab all of these for the most part. We get into hospitality, I take some extra stuff out. You don't need to put chef or cook in when you're searching technology companies. But when you
Yep.
go to search for hospitality companies, you got to put this stuff in.
Yep.
So here's kind of an example of what includes and excludes look like. That's about the right ratio. These were put in 10 at a time and grouped together on the back end. I tested it and saw that on the back end, they all got put together into one big group.
So Mike, if you do, so backing up a tiny bit. So if you tried to like use a text doc and then you got all those titles excluded and did the ORs and put them all in at once, it would crash in the browser.
No,
No.
it does not when you run it this way for some reason.
No, sorry. I'm saying if you in a text doc did like you've got title exclude, account.
I'm going to show you in the end how I put it all
Okay.
together. I've got a system for putting it all together.
But if you don't put it together and you try to do it, will it crash the search?
If you just put that in,
Yeah.
you've got to have a LinkedIn.com so it knows what the heck to do. It's going to 404 with that in.
Right, but I mean, if you took all those titles to include exclude and you just put it in the normal title search and it's really long, it'll break, right?
Well, yes. If you put the actual words in one big fat paragraph, it'll generally crash after you put a bunch of those other criteria in. It's the combination of everything together with the big Boolean that seems to make it crash.
So that's really helpful is what I'm getting at, is if you've got a bunch that you want to add, this becomes really helpful.
Yeah, much of the crash seems to be putting the stuff into the program when it refreshes the search. If you put it all in at one time, it seems to work pretty well. I'm doing this for folks. I've got 3 new people I'm bringing up using this exact methodology to try to prove it. And that's why I'm going to move some things around and improve this a little bit. So it's not quite final.
Cool.
So seniority levels got the same include and exclude sort of stuff, 1 through 10 and their parameters. I'm considering running excludes on at least that in our standard searches, just to exclude anyone that happens to creep through that's kind of low level. I haven't done it yet. Have you ever done any of that to exclude based on seniority level, or even better on functions here that you exclude?
I'll throw my 2 cents in, and then I'd love to hear everybody else's experience. We've messed with that in the past, and so what I did is we had the search, and I thought the same thing. I thought, maybe we should ditch those bottom few. And then what I did is I first included them to see who would be excluding. And I was seeing a lot of people there where I'm like, why do they think that you're in unpaid or training? And I don't know if it was because of multiple open roles, but I saw a lot of our target audience in the ones that I've done in the past. And so I left it. I don't know.
Yeah,
anybody else
I would skip it then too. Yeah.
Anybody else have any?
That's why I asked the question. I was going to check it just like you said. If you're looking at excluding people, then try to search for them and see if you find them. If you flip it, then you can just flip it the other way.
It might depend on your actual search too, like maybe in some cases it works great. It's probably the best thing to know how to do is to include first, review, and then exclude if they're bad.
I'm going to give it a try just like you described.
Yeah.
To give it a try before I use this. I don't use seniority level much at all, quite frankly. I use major Boolean, as you saw. And that kind of eliminates the functions as well here in my world. But, I know some people use that, and I don't have anything to say on it. Page numbers are always assumed to be page 1, unless you include something else, and it'll jump to page 7 or whatever you like. So if you're halfway through something, you want to save the URL for tomorrow, just in case, that kind of stuff. LinkedIn adds page numbers to it. When you go to save on page 7, it'll add page equals 7. If you save it when you're on page 7. I'm using years of experience a little bit. Where I've got a company that's just doing exit strategies. So they only want to talk about people that want to exit their business. So we're grabbing 3 to 5 to 10 plus for them. These are things that LinkedIn puts in the URL that you don't need to put back when you go to run it.
Do you know what the Fetch Hero card is? Is the Fetch Hero card information related to I think it's it's related to
I tried messing with Fetch Hero card equals true to see if it changed anything, and I didn't see any difference.
Huh. Interesting.
But I believe that these are mostly to make the searches go faster, because the search does not go really fast. It takes 20 seconds, whereas it might take 5. Because when you're putting parameters in one at a time, you're building the search one at a time, piece at a piece, piece by piece. In this case here, it's doing all that crap at one time, seeing it for the very first time.
Maybe it pulls your cache in or something instead of rebuilding it.
Yeah, I think it's for performance reasons. I do, because it works without it.
Interesting.
But when you put your stuff in and then you copy it back, you get these 3 sections again. LinkedIn puts them back in. So I have here about how to prioritize, how we do our stuff there. And that's a parameter here that just gets tacked on the end.
Nice.
So without that parameter, it pulls off of this one here.
Oh.
There may be a parameter for change jobs and mention in the news as well, just like that.
Is the Spotlight naming convention, is that new? I noticed they added the Spotlight in the search for a while, and it seems like they're kind of messing with where it is. Was it always called Spotlight? Do you know?
I never looked at it in a URL before, but no, I don't remember it being called Spotlights at all until they put it on the lower left panel on the left.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is across on the right. Most folks still have this, by the way. Most folks don't have it on the left, in my world at least. But there's a different bunch of text here for these different tabs, I'm sure. And maybe this is different for a user who hasn't posted on the left. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So the second most valuable targets are second degree connections. I still got a little bit of work to add in the codes here for it, but that's how it looks here. S is probably 500 or something like that. Now, better for the industries are, I put them into 14 categories, sectors. Okay, I group them into categories. I'm going to add that to the top up here, but here's like business services. I categorize these folks as business services. I'll just let you look at that for a moment.
Yeah.
This is a category that doesn't fit anywhere else. It's sort of like it's not anything else. So here it is. The consumer ones.
Sure.
And the abbreviations on the right are unique, so that you can encode a campaign and call it like the APP-ART campaign and not have to spell everything out. They're unique codes.
Cool.
Education, I don't have anyone who goes after that. For the most part, e-learning maybe. Financial markets, food, and this is where I put horticulture, but I didn't put horticulture in because it's crashing now, so it's not there.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember seeing that.
It just got added somehow. I got notified somehow, and look, it's just not working. I eliminate government from everyone's search if they're searching every place. And that's really nice to be able to grab that in and go excluded government, and I'll show you that in a moment. Manufacturing, marketing, kind of see how they are. Technology, this is one I like to do. I get to talk geek. And so on. So I took the 149 LinkedIn industries and I eliminated the ones that are not good, like law enforcement, K through 12, the ones that none of my clients ever want to go for.
Yeah.
And the remainder ones here are A through L, start industries A through L. And these have the industries M through Z. So if you wanted to do something and split it in two, that's a place to start.
Can you put it all together, or can it not handle that?
Yes, you can put it all together. I've included all 146 out of 147 industries one time.
Sweet.
So I told you how the categories are. So I put all the categories here for quick grab and go stuff.
Yeah.
Then I got down into lead lists, how to create a lead list, how to turn a search into a lead list, page 1 all the way down to page 24, and then how to scrub a lead list, either a page at a time by check, remove, or by one 3-dot deal and remove on the right-hand side. Then you can include and exclude lead lists. So actually that would be, in my world, would be blue, as you see, and that in my world here would be red. Okay.
And then is it, but yeah, that's,
yep, they got them for accounts
right
as well.
There. Cool.
I'll come back and do that. So this is how I build them. Okay, I have my sections here. I put my codes in down below. There they, I color coded them where they're kind of sectional together here when they're kind of related together. And then we get down to where I really do it. This is where they come together. I put them together like this, and then literally you just do this. You put them together like that and run it. And when you put them together, it looks like this. Grab it and run it. There you go. That's, here's a real example with some color coding in it.
That's cool.
And that's it.
Can I ask you a question, Mike? Have you tried messing with the, you know how you can include, exclude? Have you tried doing exclusion on something that you aren't able to exclude through the browser interface?
You put like, make up a code that says like exclude, like.
Right. So you know how you can't / exclude every search function or every search category.
But if you could like maybe try the code on the back and see if it works. I haven't tried that.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. Yeah, I think
because there's sometimes where I'm like, can I give you a great example? Is when I'm doing an account search, you can't exclude the accounts you've already saved from search. It's like the most annoying thing. So like we'll go through.
Your saved items are in the new search?
Yes. So we'll go through and we save like 10,000 companies. And then some of them are, we need to exclude because they're clients and blah, blah, blah. And then we go through and we need to go and see if we missed anything or whatever. And they're just all there and you can't exclude what you've saved. And so it'd be really cool if I doubt you'd be able to, but I would love to try.
I'm the kind of person that would try that too. So
yeah.
Yeah, there's, I'm not aware of any other features in Sales Navigator that are useful to include here, other than included in past campaigns and something like that. That included past thing I'm going to look at and see if I can encode that somehow and make some use out of that. Are there any industries that you can think of that anybody's used here that I didn't mention, or any criteria that anybody's used?
I'll pull up here. I'll share my screen just so we have something to look at to inspire us. And we'll even turn on. Oh, I don't have that on.
Right there.
So let's see.
That thing in the upper right, pass lead and account activity. That's something I might look at to see if there's some use to be had there in terms of coding. But
I'll tell you another thing that breaks search for sure is once you save too many accounts and then choose search within saved accounts. So like, I don't know what the cutoff is. I'm going to ballpark and say it's like around 8,000. But if you save more than 8,000 and then you go to search within saved, it'll give you like a small amount. So for example, we just did one where we saved 18,000 companies. And if I choose, so we saved them and then we put them into all lists of 1,000. And then we did search within saved accounts, and it says that there's like 1,000 people to talk to. And I'm like, 1,000 people to talk to? We just saved 18,000 companies, and there's at least one. What is your going on here? So you have to go in and do it 4 lists at a time for it to not break. If you encounter that, yeah. So that's
I'm going to look at that area there. The next row, we did everything in the next row.
Yep.
We're not doing anything on names, although there is stuff if you want to. I have someone who's targeting Christians. So we're using keyword Christian and name not Christian.
Oh, that's a really smart idea.
She's getting great 45% connect rates.
Wow.
Because she's only targeting Christian people. We searched on the word Christian, and her profile, if you look at it, says she's, faith-based business coach.
I never thought about using the name exclusion when the name matches the industry.
I did that for another person who was targeting. He did peer boards only for Christian peer boards. So he searched on the word faith, and we searched on the word Christian, but took out not faith and not Christian in the first name field.
That's wild.
It got great. The other thing we did is we went to Baylor and Texas Christian University and just looked at looked at folks who graduated from there.
Yeah, clever targeting.
So yeah, seniority level and function. I did those. I don't use them much.
Yeah, I don't either.
title we did. Years of experience I pulled in, but I'd not pull in years at company or years in the current position. I just don't see them used much.
I have started using this a few times. Have you noticed this? This is like I'm honestly not 100% sure where they're getting this information, because this is not on your profile and it's not really on your company page, is it? Like,
I think the only thing that's useful there is the public company one. The rest, because I could see where they could find public companies from Dun and Bradstreet and match on that. But the difference between privately held or a partnership.
well, the two big ones in my mind are going to be government and nonprofit. Oh, here it is, company type. I guess it is right there. You know, that's probably one of the more, if sorry to get, I don't want to distract. That's probably one of the more reliable industry-ish, if you're talking about government and nonprofit, industry searches on a person search, because it's pulling from the company. That's interesting.
Well, can you circle / government?
Let's find out. Let's find out. No, you can't. But maybe you should check and see if you can do it in like in a sneaky way with
Yeah,
your,
maybe we got our way on the back end.
your mad scientist. Okay. But
It's
yeah,
like taxes. They make you do it.
or what if you did this, Mike? If you never want to sell to government, I'm just spitballing here. What if you did everything except for the ones that you know? What if you did just, you know, you said you never.
I have a hunch that there's companies that don't fit any of those categories that you'd miss. I just have a hunch that if you added them all up, you'd be missing somebody still.
But I wonder, it could be, is this required? Is this a required field? If it's a required field, I feel like the only time it wouldn't be in there is if it's like a legacy, like a really old one and they don't have it. I don't know. Something to dig into, I think. Okay, we'll keep going. Past company.
Any other ones in here that we can see?
Became a member. Have you ever?
Groups, and I show something in there on groups. I do show something in there on groups.
You want to share your screen?
No, it's just a parameter that says add group equals a number. It's just one parameter.
Hey, is this new?
Connections up.
Is this new in here?
It's been there a little while. You had to do it on LinkedIn before. Now you can do it here.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing that baked into. I don't remember seeing that baked into here before. You may only enter up to one value. Oh, it's only one person. So you can only add one connections of.
Yeah, I must only be showing common connections then. Oh, that's because I don't share my whole network. I only show common connections. That's why.
And I think posted content keywords is only articles as well. That doesn't look in your actual posts. I'm almost sure. That's cool. Does anybody have any questions for Mad Scientist Mike? Oh, I see everyone's brains are coming out their ears. That's why.
That was pretty geeky.
Yeah, everybody is brains.
Yeah, I'm pushing my brain back in my ear.
Yeah, I couldn't take notes. I couldn't take notes fast enough. So, not sure what we're going to do about that. But
if you want to know some more, send me a note, and I'll work with you one-on-one. I'll share it with you one-on-one if you want.
I had to drop out of Calc 2.
He had to drop out of Calc 2. What's Calc 2?
I do look forward to next week, Mike, when you bring back a document solving world peace. And good shape.
So to recap, this is going to be helpful when you're doing search, and especially if it's breaking, because of the limitations in input through the browser, or if you want to just do a bunch of fast ad hoc, build it out. You know what, Mike? You know what's helpful for me there too is, you know, when you do like a title search, this is one thing that I'm like about. You do a title search, push enter. You can't like go in there and edit it. you have to delete everything and retype it. So I have like,
Yeah, right.
I always have like a little text doc open. It's like, and then I'm like, do I still need that? I don't know. So to be able to go up there in the URL and just update it in the URL would be really helpful too.
Yeah, we do all of our stuff in the Google Doc and paste it in. And if something doesn't run right and we're fixing it over in there, then when it's done there, we paste it back into Google Doc here so that we got the original stuff. Doing this here, I can create this using my own account and then just go run it on a user's account. That's kind of nice. It's very transportable between people and stuff.
Very nice.
Unless you're using lead lists.
Right.
Lead lists are not transportable. So there are some parameters that you can't take back and forth. Account lists. Right.
Very cool. Does anyone have any final questions for Mike or anything else? John? No.
No, I'm still I'm pushing the left side of the brain back in. I got the right side in, pushing the left side.
Nice.
That was great then. That's kind of what I was hoping. I'd show you that there's stuff out there, okay, and you don't have to deal with it. You've got a menu to deal with it. But if you had to push a button 145 times on a menu and it had to refresh 145 times, you might start thinking about something like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have a question. Mike, I have a question for you. Have you ever encountered any issues with the quotation marks breaking going from like Google Docs into the URL?
No.
Sometimes you know what I'm talking about, where we've encountered it where if you copy paste into like word processor and then it goes from like word to
the Boolean that I put into the blue bubble. So I take the quotation marks, put them in and create the blue bubble. Then I grab the code from the URL up there and I put it into the Google Doc. Gotcha. So it's replacing the percent with a percent 22 or something like that in the URL.
Yeah.
So I just it's a three-way process. You write it here in a Google Doc, you put it into the window, you press enter, you grab it from the URL and you suck it out and put it back in where it was.
All right. If there's no further questions, does anybody else have anything else? Now that we've kind of churned through a bunch of info, any even unrelated to the URL, things that popped into your mind? All right, then we're going to wrap it up.
Get done early.
Great presentation.
Right. Yeah, good job, Mike.
Very good.
Amazing info.
Thanks, Mike.